On Justice Jackson, to go back prior to his days as a national figure, he and my father had adjoining offices for many years in what was then the old Bank of Jamestown building, and they were close friends, not family friends so much as kind of professional associates, some mutual clients, and all that sort of thing. And so my dad knew Bob Jackson quite well, and after he came to the Supreme Court, that is Jackson, my father, every time my father would go to Washington, which was fairly regularly in those days, he would, almost every time, he would call on Bob Jackson, just as an old friend, not to lobby him or anything.
Yeah.
But, and he used to tell me that Jackson was, privately, would really get vehement about Hugo Black. And, you know, they had a feud, which was public. But I remember Dad said several times that Jackson was not at all guarded about talking about it.
Okay.
He really laid off on Black. Incidentally, Black, of course, was, I do remember now,
Yeah.
Black was at his funeral. Maybe he responded, but in any event, I've rambled on too long.
Oh, it's
but,
wonderful. Oh, it's wonderful.
Jackson, of course, locally was very successful, the leading corporate attorney at that.
His partner was John Durkin. wasn't
Yeah, that was Jackson, Herrick,
Jackson,
Durkin, and Leet.
That's right.
And Durkin, John Durkin, when the war came, when World War II came, he went to Washington for some kind of a position, and I don't know whether Jackson was helpful perhaps in placing him there, because Jackson was Attorney General at that time, or Justice, in any event, a big guy in Washington. Herrick was Jerry Herrick. You probably remember
From
him.
Faulkner, yeah. He had an office in
and
Faulkner.
He lived on Buffalo Street for many years. A very, very fine guy.
Jerry Herrick, sure.
Very fine guy. And Ernie Leet, who not too long ago, well, I mean, 10 years ago or so died. He was the last, but it's kind of interesting now that I think about it. Ernie Leet was a leading figure in the Young Republicans of that era in the 30s. And my father, then much younger, was part of that. And of course, Jackson was
Very
a Democrat, but they were in the same firm, which I guess today in Washington is not unusual at all. They can cover each other. But I was just going to say something about, when the Jackson statue was dedicated 3 or 4 years ago, and Justice O'Connor spoke, Betsy Leet Sherman, who's a good personal friend of ours and who lives, a daughter of Ernie, and who lives in the Washington area, called to say that her mother, Ernie's widow, had not been specifically invited to that dedication, and it would be wonderful if she could attend.
Sure.
So we called Phil Morris or somebody who was masterminding the thing and got a seat for Mary Leet right in front of the rostrum. And after the ceremony, somebody had told, maybe Gloria, I don't know, had told Justice O'Connor about Mary Leet, that her late husband had been a partner of Jackson's, and she came down and spoke to Mary Leet for several minutes, I mean in a very friendly fashion, and Mary Leet, who's still alive and must be about 95 or 6, wrote Gloria a note and also told her daughter that was one of the greatest moments of her life.
Wow,
When
isn't that great?
Justice O'Connor came down and spoke to her about Jackson and that sort of thing.
Wasn't that nice
Yeah.
of you to... Club. I'm sorry? Became a member in 1921 and resigned in 1927. But long after that, he was included in parties up there, and if you look at the history that I did,
You
you'll
did?
see a picture of him attending one of the clam bakes up there. And was evidently quite a prominent member.